Hi, good morning once again. David Ray here. Today I'm going to talk about a subject that you guys will probably think is really boring. However, I think I'm going to change your mind about a few things, is what we're just going to discuss today. We're talking about water. Yes, this actually is full of water, believe it or not, as you can see. But water is something that we accept that surrounds us. We don't really pay attention to it. We take it for granted, actually. We don't understand truly the nature of what it really is because, well, first and foremost, of course, if it wasn't here, neither would we be here, you know? So water is a very important part in our lives, but we dismiss it as the background to everything else. But in fact, it is very, very important. Don't forget, you're 75% water. The Arabs actually have a saying that water invented us to carry it around because it has a memory, in fact, but I'll explain more about that a little later. But first and foremost, let's talk about water itself. Now, there's an awful lot of it. There is, in fact, I think it's 326 million cubic miles. Yes, that's a lot. That's an enormous amount of it. Wouldn't be paddling in that. But in truth, if, for example, all the water, I'm talking about the waters in the clouds, and of course in us, and of course in nature, because most of the plants have a lot of water. If all the water suddenly materialized as water, well, it would be like the United States would be a couple hundred meters underwater, I would imagine, and most of us would be, the world would be completely saturated by it. But because it's all in different states, that's kind of interesting. Water has, believe it or not, 4 different states in its energy, right? Now, of course, water is as a liquid, and that's what we drink, we use, whatever we're busy with. Water is an important part. In fact, water is actually the universal solvent, in truth, to most of what we are, you know. It's a universal solvent, particularly important for us in our health. But it also exists as clouds, as a vapor. And that is also something we see and enjoy. It's a wonderful part of nature. I love clouds. And then we also have it as ice. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this. Everyone thinks ice is ice. But in fact, there's 12 different varieties of ice. There's one sort of ice that exists at 120 degrees Celsius. But it's also under 25 tons of pressure. So, yeah, it makes sense. But there's many kinds of ice and all different varieties. And water in itself is fascinating. Now, the fourth part of water is very interesting. This is when you drink water and your body absorbs it, it changes and it becomes more gel-like, in fact, because it's actually the thing that goes to support your cells. So when you consume water and it's actually in your body, it has a more kind of viscous quality. And that is because, of course, it's the liquid in which all our organs are suspended, you know. I mean, again, to go back to the fact we're 75% water, which is very important. Now, water in itself in a health situation is important because it's a solvent to all the things it can bring into our lives. For example, I'm very much a believer in natural healing and natural ways of doing things, because that's what really we were living at one time before we became to this point now where many of us are probably asking what happened. But in truth, water is something that you use it properly and use it with respect. It also has an energy. Now, this might not seem so apparent, but it's a very important thing, because this actual fact I'm going to tell you right now shows that we project our own reality. We have an effect on other water, because don't forget, water's everywhere. It's in the air, and it's probably a major part of our interactions or even our psychic abilities, because it creates that connection that allows things to be interconnected. And that's my belief. We're all a oneness anyway. Now, water, for example, reacts to good energy. Many years ago, I had the privilege to meet Dr. Emoto. And I got to say, this 20-minute, half an hour meeting had a lot of ways in changing my life, because I learned something so important from this man. He was very clever. And what he was doing, he also believed, as I do now, that water is programmable. Think about this little fact. Water, because it's a finite source, has been around basically since everything else was around, right? So that water constantly, the finite amount, I might add, is constantly going through and changing. It's going to be clouds, it's going to be ice, it's going to be in us, and we are also going to pee it out. So it's quite possible that the water you're drinking or that's within you now was once in Napoleon. It could be, there's no reason why not. If it's a finite source and it's always been around, then there's a very good reason why in millions and millions of years of our existence that water wouldn't be passed through many, many things. It could even have been passed through Jesus Christ. It's very possible. So in that respect, water, in fact, because water was the witness to everything that ever happened on this world. Everything. It was at wars. It saw great things. It saw great events. It was there in those moments. Think about that. It's interesting, isn't it? Because water, like I say, has a memory, and they're actually now able to use water and program it with digital programming. So they can program water to do certain things because they energize the actual memory, let's say, the memory. That's why homeopathics work in my book. This is the reason homeopathic works, because after all, we are water, and the reason why the more you dilute the water is that you spread the connection of the water to everything, and you create a greater mass. So the healing that takes place with the connection, with the connection of the water, then in reality, it strengthens the healing effect. And it kind of makes sense in the end. Once you remember, everything's connected. Water is connected. It's all a simple thing. So what I was trying to explain to you now about with Dr. Emoto, and I have his book here actually, highly recommend. If you go online, you'll probably find his messages from water, and you'll learn an awful lot. But I'm going to show you a few things. For example, water responds to good words, good energy, positive energy. It responds to that. So when you say good words or you say nice things to water, it will respond. Now, Dr. Emoto, what he wanted to do, he also believed this theory. So what he wanted to do was to find some way to prove this. And so what he did, he would do, he'd play Mozart, for example, to water. And when he did this, then he would immediately freeze the water. And I want to show you. And you can see the Mozart one. And you can also see, for example, that when you play heavy metal or, discordant music to water, you get this effect. And you can see the differences, just to show you a couple of different examples. Now, an interesting thing, this is also a real interesting thing that came about with water in itself, was that he did another experiment which was fascinating, and it all goes to show you that you are projecting your energies to other people. You have an effect on another person because your water is transmitting a positive energy to somebody, then they're going to feel that, and it spreads out further than just the sound of a voice or the sound of something you're saying that's very nice. On the other hand, if you say bad things, then the water will also respond. Now, what he did, he took 2 jars of rice. It's in the book, and you will find it on his website. He took 1 jar, and he took a label, and he wrote on this label, "This is wonderful rice. This is healing rice. This is beneficial rice, and I give thanks for this." And on the other jar, he wrote, "This is shit. Excuse my language. This is bad rice. This is rubbish. This is poison." Okay? They're just words, aren't they? Are they though? So he took those 2 jars, he sealed them up, and he put them on a shelf. And a week later, he came back and picked them off the shelf, and the rice that he'd written the nice words on and all the beneficial words on and beautiful words was perfect. It was still edible rice. The other one, on the other hand, was black. It was full of mold. It was completely ruined. It was incredible. And you can see this. I can show you here now. Look, see the two jars, the bad and the good? You see, this is what it is. Now, think about this. The way you are as a human being, you have the opportunity every day to change the water of other people by just being nice to people. What a great idea that would be, wouldn't it? But also, you can also do this for yourself. We were drinking healthy water. Now, something about water that man has done. Man has put water in pipes, okay? So every pipe, every house, it's all pipes, and they're all rectangles or 90-degree turns. Everything is a 90-degree turn. Now, there's very little in nature that's 90-degree turns. Most of it is just spirals. Spirals are beautiful. And so the water you drink, mostly in these communities, is because it's been through this water system. It's dead. It has no value at all. It's no longer a living substance. It's a dead substance. And of course, it's been through various processes of cleaning. So many things. However, there's one aspect of this that you can change this situation. Now, water in itself has a memory. Water that flows through rivers and through rocks and stones, it's being reminded of its original form. Because don't forget, I always think there's a sort of, I don't want to say a consciousness, but it absorbs things. Let's put it that way. It absorbs good energy and it seems to hold it. So it's possible to make your water wonderful. I'll show you in a moment how we're going to do that. As it flows down these streams and through the rocks and everything, it's constantly doing this spiral movement within itself. And as it's like the waves of the sea, they're always the spiral constantly, the water's flowing. And as it's doing this, it's absorbing the energies, the natural forces that were around it. And it's going back to its natural state. And we can benefit by doing a certain thing. And that is, I'm going to show you now. Now, this is water. I took it from my filter. This is water. However, it's been through a normal water system. So it's 90 degrees. It's all this stuff, right? Now, I can energize this water very quickly in a very natural way. And I'm going to show you how. It's great. I thought of fun this. This is actually, believe it or not, a child's toy. You can buy these things in toy shops. But what it does, it has a wonderful effect. Now, by doing this, and I told you spirals in nature and things, so what we do, we turn it upside down, whoops, and then we give it a twirl. There we go. It doesn't always want to do it straight away. Now you see, in here, although you won't see it, I'll show you when we do the reverse in a moment, but it's actually a little vortex. And that vortex, there we go, let's see now. Now you'll see it when I do it this way. Now you're going to see it. See, look at the spiral. This spiral is actually, as this is happening, this is energizing the water. This is making your water now in its natural state, how your body would expect water to come in, charged with an energy, you know? And I want to go show you something else. This is an additional thing you can do. Now, I have a tuning fork here. Oh, do you hear it? Well, this tuning fork is actually tuned to 528, which is a very harmonic, loving state of life. And it just, it has such a soothing quality. They're very cheap, these, and I highly recommend you get one. Get a steel one, they're always better. But anyway, what I was talking about. So what I do with my water is I put the tuning fork against it, and that frequency, that love frequency, goes through the water. Right? One more time, just for the hell of it. There we go. That now has been energized. And I now pour it out, and I know I've got living water. Water that has suddenly taken the energies, the positive energy of this 528, and of course the energy around it that it was managed to absorb as it did the spiral, you know? Anyway, cheers. And thank you. Now, there is a negative aspect to this, because one of the things that they did in this world, they like to mess with frequencies, and they have shifted frequencies. Once 532 was the frequency of everything, but now because of music and the like, they've shifted it to 440. And the music today, of course, at 440 is upsetting your water. It doesn't really like it. But in truth, because we've been so long with this whole business of how we absorb frequencies. But now I just wanted to show you this. And I show you this last final part in all of this. Now, water is really a gift. It truly, truly is. And I want to finish with a little prayer. And it's a prayer that I've been saying for many, 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 many years. And I believe this has instilled an energy around me, and this positive energy, which is there always. And every day I reaffirm it. So I take my water, and I'm going to pour a little bit more, and I'm going to say something. And maybe you could remember it next time that you drink your glass of water, you fill it with positive energy. Because I just told you, you're projecting your own reality, but you're also projecting energy. Your words have power. When you look into the messages from water, you'll see just how much power your voice and your energies, let's put it that way, have on you. Now, I'm going to say this little prayer. I bless this water, and I fill it with love and healing energy to give thanks that I'm in perfect health, happiness, joy, and prosperity, and that divine love expressing through me now draws to me all that's needed to make me happy and my life complete. Amen. I suggest that you think about doing that too. You can change your life, and I can show you. So many little bits of things I want to talk about, so many lessons I've learned in my life. And I brought myself back from a very bad state of health with diseases and all kinds of horrible things that I had to live through and go through. And by learning these lessons, and I give thanks to Dr. Emoto, unfortunately, who has passed, for showing me something about myself. And the one thing you need to do is keep your water clean and in good energy. Okay, well, that's about it for today. I was very happy you were here. I really enjoyed doing these videos because it's if you live with all this knowledge, and to be honest, knowing stuff can be very lonely sometimes, because you want to tell people this. You see that they're trying to live their lives, and there's so many stumbling blocks that presented to them, they don't really see them for what they are. I've been lucky. I fell over everything in my life. So having the knowledge and the experience, failure is one of the best things to teach you stuff. If you always have success, you just take it for granted and life just goes along, and you just, worst thing is you can't find the keys to your Ferrari. But anyway, join me in my little videos. Well, lots of fun. There's great things I want to show you. I want to talk about my art and lots of experiences I've had, and I've had a full life, really I have. But anyway, enough of that for now. Well, have a great day, and I hope you'll join me again soon. Bye-bye.